How's it going, Kendall?
Great. How's it going?
Once you came in and kind of got, the lay of the land and looking at the previous offensive playbooks, for lack of a better word, just how much did you have to maybe throw out? How much did you just have to say, we're going to tweak this and kind of put it into your offense?
Be honest with you, didn't really look at previously what was going on from a playbook standpoint. We knew what we wanted to come in and how we were going to implement our system. Fortunately, there's some carryover from what has been run here in the past, so some of that helps with the players. But nowadays, there's so many players to come in and out of programs. Whether that helps or not, it may help a couple guys, but that part of it's been pretty easy.
How's it been with Lenore's the first 3 days on the field? I'm sure there's still a lot more to go, but how would you assess these first 3 days?
Yeah, a lot more to go, a lot of work to do, not just him, but everybody. But I was pleased with him and the other quarterbacks. They look sharp. I'm really impressed with his, mental capacity, really sharp. Obviously he's gifted athletically, but it matters a lot to him, cares a lot. He works really hard, and I really appreciate that.
Sticking with Lenore's, from a coaching standpoint, whether it's fundamentally, mechanically, however you want to look at it, what are a couple of things you're stressing to him, not necessarily something that he's been doing wrong, but something that you do differently than what he does and want him to do?
Yeah, just, some of the details of his footwork and the way that we mesh with our running backs and different things with play actions. So, everybody coaches things differently, and, the thing that you don't try to do is get a guy that's athletic as him to think. And so I want it to be as natural as I can and let his talent go out there and play and give him some parameters and things that can help him be better. And the thing I've learned is he's very coachable. Whatever, we talk about afterwards and then the film session the next day, he's gone out and applied that, so that's good to see.
As you implement your playbook, what does the timetable of the rollout look like? Do you want them to be able to kind of have everything down by the end of spring, or do you slowly introduce things all the way up to the season?
No, we'll try to put everything in. And that's really kind of the model, and I'm sure Coach Beamer will speak about some of that, but we've really only got some of the base down stuff in, and then we got more base down stuff this week, and then we'll start getting into some situations, third down, red zone, goal line, 2-minute, 4-minute, all that stuff. And then that's when you really can implement all those things, and hopefully by the end of spring, when you get done with 15 practices, you've got, enough reps of what you've tried to install. The worst thing you do is go out there and install a whole bunch of material and not get to rep it. And so hopefully we're able to install and be good at what we're trying to get done, and then, not do too much. We want to get these guys out there and let them play free and not have to think too much. And obviously, you got to be ready and prepared for situations, but hopefully we'll get everything installed, and then you kind of reinstall in the summer, and then you do the same thing once you get into fall camp. So they're always they're going to have vocal material for most of the year, and then we'll figure out our personnel as well and how we need to play into that.
Kendall, when you and Lenore's were first started meeting with each other, how much did you guys talk about his struggles last year? Or did you say, hey, don't worry about that, it's a clean slate?
Yeah, we didn't talk about it at all. That was last year, So everything we're doing is trying to move forward and put him in the best position to be successful, just like every other player.
What would be your message to any Twitter offensive line coach on what Coach Clem brings to the team and what you've seen from him these last couple weeks?
I wouldn't respond directly or indirectly to a Twitter O-line coach. I think Coach Clem's resume and the way that he's been able to sustain, over the course of time, which he's been coaching for, 35 years, and he's done it at a high level, and he's the best O-line coach that I've been around. So thrilled to have him here. He's got a good support group, with him, with Jason Smith, who played for him, and I feel really good about where we are already up front with the drills and techniques that he's coaching our players to use.
Sticking with that position group, how challenging can it be, or is it, that you guys have so many new guys, and obviously it's new for everybody, but with so many new players on this team at that position group, is it can you quantify how much of a struggle it can be to get things figured out, just grand scheme of things, when you're trying to figure out which 5 are going to be the best 5?
It's really not, because you're installing a new system anyways, so guys are going to have to learn it whether they were here or not. Now, obviously, if you've got, I'd love to walk in a place that had 5 guys that were all bona fide starters that had played together and communicated together. That makes things easier, but that's not the case, and we knew that wasn't going to be the case. The first thing you got to do is get them to mold into the team and the structure and buy into, Coach Beamer's vision, with the culture of the team, and they've done that. They're good teammates. And then you start getting in the X's and O's, and, like you said, Coach Clements is one of the best that there is, and we'll find the right 5 to go play. And we got some guys, kind of shuffling positions right now and seeing, who fits best. But been pleased at the progress, and, this week will be huge.
Thank you. When you look at what you did with Josh Hoover at TCU, can any of that be applied to what you're doing with Lenoris at South Carolina, based on he was a 10,000-yard passer for you during the last 3 years there? Can people that kind of they see that, can they kind of expect maybe some of that happening with Lenoris?
Yeah, some of the throw game that we use with Josh, you'll definitely see the same schemes. We were probably more throw happy than we'll be here. That's just that fit Josh and his skill set. He's a really a pure thrower, and we didn't want to run him much, and I think Lenoris, his durability, will be able to do some more of that and use his legs at times. So, we're still learning right now as well, and on the 3rd day of practice, and really all 3, but Lenoris is throwing the ball extremely well, and so is Cutter and the rest of the guys.
And Kendall, with that offensive line, I'm sure you come in and you say, "Oh, you've got a 2-year guy coming back in Josiah Thompson. You've got Pete coming on the other side. Now there's been some instances where you can't count them. How much does that affect your overall scheme, or did it?"
You really can't let it affect you. It doesn't matter. We want to get those guys back and want them to get healthy and all those things, but we've got a job to do, and we got to get the guys prepared to do it, and so. Can't worry about that. You just got to move on and find the next best guy to get out there and take their place. Schematically, I don't think it has really changed us as far as those guys not being in there, and so we'll adapt and adjust.
Yeah, sticking with the O-line again, can you give us like a 10,000-foot view of what can make your offensive line successful schematically? What's important? What are some of the traits that you're looking for in building a successful offensive line?
Can you get him the mic? Can you ask that a little more specifically? That's a broad.
So it's a very broad question. I'm just trying to
give me
get
the 5 baddest dudes in the world, and we'll be great on offense up front. So.
What qualifies as the baddest dude on offense for you then?
You need guys that are passionate about playing football. O-line, especially in today's world where there's other things that are involved besides just playing the game of football for the love of it. You need tough guys that are willing to go work every single day. It's not a lot of times a fun job for those guys to go out there and bang. And so you got to have guys that love it and that are passionate to do it. And you got to coach it as well. And that's our jobs. That's why they call us coach. Obviously, you need to be talented. You like to have some length. But the more I've been around it, especially up front, guys that love the game and guys that are tough, that are going to go out there and die for your teammates, that's what you want.
Kendall, how is Landon Duckworth, settling in so far, and what's being asked of him this spring in terms of his role?
He's done well. He's extremely talented, throws the ball really well, moves well. I've been impressed with his growth from, we had some OTAs before spring ball, from his knowledge there to where he is now. I can tell he's really studied and he's worked at it, so I've been pleased with him there. Right now he's running with the 3rd group, and those guys aren't getting a ton of reps, but he is getting reps. Him and Lucian Anderson are both getting reps, so we're able to coach them, and they're able to get out there and go. And then, obviously, with all the routes on air and individual stuff, I'm getting to work with him. So he's got a ton of talent. He's got a lot of want to, and excited about the future.
Kendall, you've been around a while, not asking for specifics or anything, but how much of your background comes into every playbook that you design? Do you still have stuff that maybe you ran in high school that creeps its way into a playbook?
Yeah, there's stuff in there. Yeah. If it is good and it's withstood the test of time, then we'll hang on to it. Obviously, I'm not one to keep something around if it's not helping us. So pick up things along the way all the time. I'm sure we'll pick up things here that'll help us go win.
By the time you get into a season, do you have a set number of receivers that you want to have ready to play, starters, rotation guys going into a year?
I've got a 13-year-old daughter, so I got to be careful with this. But you want to have 6 or 7. Guys, I hear that all the time, but you really do. You got to have that many guys to be ready to go play, because they're going to get nicked. They're going to have soft tissue stuff, and you got to have guys that can be interchangeably outside and inside. And so, I think we'll have probably 8 that I feel really good about.
And I was going to follow up on that. How challenging will it be to really pare it down to get to that?
I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping that the guys are playing and putting that type of pressure on Coach Furry and myself that, which guys are we going to put out there on the field? Like what I've seen so far, we've got some guys that played a lot of snaps. And we just, we got to figure out what fits them the best and the positions inside and outside and make sure we're getting, the 3 or 4 best on the field at the same time.
Same thing, but kind of with the running backs. How many guys do you like to play over the course of a game, over the course of the season? And what have you seen from that group so far this spring?
I like our running back group. We got some depth, which we needed. I think we're going to have some durable guys, but we're going to have 5 real guys in that room, probably 6, that we feel really good about. And they're rotating a lot. Coach Drayton's doing a good job rotating them. But you got to have 4. You got to have 4 to go into a season because it's just hard to sustain, especially in the SEC, and stay healthy at practice and on game day. So I feel good about the guys that we have and the progress that we're making.
Kendal, when you're deciding on those receivers, do you have to have one pigeonholed as a slot, one as a stretch the field, or do you like those guys to be interchangeable?
You don't. It can be sometimes hard for the smaller guys to go outside and be able to block and do those things. But I've seen guys do it. It's typical. Usually your taller guys, bigger guys are the outside guys. And, that's kind of the way we're built right now. But you want to have the best players on the field. So if there's a guy that has to come in and learn and to make us better, then, that's our job. So we got to figure out getting the best guys on the field.
Based on your history, when it's all put together, when it's all clicking, what will the South Carolina offense average points?
We need to be productive enough for us to win football games. I don't care if we average 12 points a game if we're winning every single game. That's what it's all about. And that's how we're judged, is go win games. Can't answer that question. We'll see what kind of team we got. We've been through 3 spring practices, so a lot of water on the bridge for that. All right, thanks, guys.